What's the number one technique for stress management used by Olympic athletes, top business executives, and even the military? It's breathing. Stay tuned today on Moxie Talk. I am going to unpack everything you need to know to use breath work for your own stress management. Hi everyone, welcome to Moxie Talk, where we help you find your voice, share your message, and lead with confidence. Today I am going to be talking about breath work and how you can use it for stress management. But before I start, if you are watching me on YouTube, please make sure to hit that alert button so you are notified every time I put out a new video. And if you enjoy this video, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, like it, and share it with your friends and colleagues. And last but not least, if you want to know more about what we do and who we are at Moxie Institute, check out our website, moxieinstitute.com. We focus a lot these days on what we breathe, meaning the quality of the air we breathe and if it contains pollution or not. But it turns out that how we breathe can have a major impact on our health and, more importantly, on our ability to handle and reduce stress. And because of this, breathing techniques are now being taught to Olympic athletes, top business executives, elite performers, and even the military is using breathing techniques to help snipers keep their hands steady during combat. Now, I have done several other videos on breathing because I'm so passionate about it, and I really think of breathing as the power tool for public speaking to help you with everything from voice projection to stage fright. But I wanted to make a video on breathing that focuses on why and how to use it for stress management in any aspect of your life, whether that's a difficult conversation with your boss, getting ready for an important job interview, or even walking into a high-stakes meeting. This, by far, will be the most comprehensive video I've ever done on why breath work is so important, how to do it, and how to use it to your advantage. And I'm doing this video because I really want you to have as much information at your fingertips as possible. Because when you learn how to breathe correctly, it's more than just a power tool for public speaking. It's a power tool for life because we can really lower our daily stress levels and maintain a calm, cool, collected, and grounded mindset in high-stakes, stressful situations. It really is the mindset and headspace for high performance, no matter what industry you're in and what you're trying to perform better at. And if we want to get our nerves under control so we can focus on the task at hand, knowing the basics of how diaphragmatic breathing really works really puts you in the driver's seat. So you don't have to feel like nerves or anxiety are something that you're at the mercy of. Controlled, intentional breathing is the quickest way to calm our anxiety because it immediately activates the natural decompressing part of our nervous system called the parasympathetic nervous system, which we'll talk about in detail later in this video. So today I'll unpack what is this breathing technique that leads to stress management and high performance, why it works, and how to do it and use it in your life. So let's start with what is this breathing technique that I'm claiming can change your life? Because you may be saying to yourself, I've been breathing my whole life. True. But the kind of breathing you need to do to reduce your body's stress response is a different kind of breathing. And it's technically referred to as diaphragmatic breathing because we are utilizing our diaphragm. But before we go into the actual technique, let me take a step back to make sure that everybody watching understands what their diaphragm is, where it is, and what its purpose is in your body. Your diaphragm is a sheath of muscle that sits between your lungs and your abdomen, and its anatomical purpose is to push more oxygen into your lungs. But your diaphragm was also designed to send messages to your brain about the status of your body. And it does this through the phrenic nerve and the vagus nerve. So if you breathe fast and rapidly, even if you're sitting down because you're panicked or stressed or nervous, you're sending messages through your diaphragm to your brain that, hey, we're really moving and we're running, probably away from something. And if you override that, if you deliberately deepen and slow your breathing, you're sending different messages to your brain that you probably have stopped running. Everything's cool and you're safe. And you are probably no longer under attack by that grizzly bear or being chased by that saber-toothed tiger. So how does the body communicate with the brain? Through the vagus nerve and the phrenic nerve. We literally have a communication system from the diaphragm to the brain and from the brain to the diaphragm, hardwired and designed to either activate our parasympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for our rest and digest response, or our sympathetic nervous system, which is responsible for our fight or flight response. Now, we usually think that the brain was designed to tell the body what to do, but actually most of the time, the body is telling the brain what to do. And once you realize that you can tap into breathing techniques to control your emotions, you put yourself back in the driver's seat and you are no longer at the mercy of your nerves or anxiety. Breathing is this really amazing biological intervention because it kickstarts that parasympathetic nervous system. Now, before I move into why diaphragmatic breathing works and how to use it, let me take a second to talk about my favorite nerve in your body, and that is the vagus nerve and how it plays a role in anxiety reduction. Vagus means wanderer in Greek, and the vagus nerve, along with the phrenic nerve, are a collection of nerves that run up your neck, around your ear, and connect to your heart, abdomen, and diaphragm on the other end. The vagus nerve is always wandering your body and looking for signs that you're in danger and need to go into fight or flight, or you're safe and can slip into rest and digest. And when your breathing changes, your diaphragm sends a message through that vagus nerve to your brain. Because of this, your breath can literally shift your body in or out of stress response because your brain and your diaphragm are connected by this vagus nerve, and they are both paying attention to each other. I like to think of this as manually shifting a car into downhill gear. When you intentionally breathe deeply, you are manually shifting your brain into the calm and focus gear. And this is really cool when you think about it. And the reason that breathing is a power tool for high performance. Now, because we can literally alter our biochemistry by tapping into this lizard brain, our brainstem and our amygdala, and send signals to our neurotransmitters that we can release the fight or flight mechanism. We are hacking into this set of nerves that are paying attention to our breathing to keep us safe. And when they notice that we've slowed our breathing and things have gotten calmer, they read that as evidence of safety because we only breathe deeply and slowly when we're safe. And they send a message up to the brain saying, you can come out of fight or flight. There's no danger here. The lungs and the diaphragm are telling us that we're safe. And that's how we can get our anxiety under control. And our brain and body push more air into our blood by incorporating our diaphragm into our breathing, which increases oxygen levels, lowers our heart rate, and brings back circulation to our brain and body, which make it a powerful tool for anybody that needs to focus on a complex task, reduce anxiety before and during a stressful event, or perform at their very best. Also, we secrete more dopamine and serotonin, and those are our feel-good hormones when we are in rest and digest. And a less scientific but equally as important benefit of controlled breathing is that it brings us back to the present moment. Breathing brings us back to the present by bringing us back to our bodies. If your mind is racing when you're feeling stress, focusing on your breath takes your attention off your racing mind and forces you to simply focus on your breath. Okay, so now that we've dove deep into the diaphragmatic breathing response and why it's important for stress management and high performance, let's talk about how to use it. First, I want you to think about your breathing when you're stressed. It's usually rapid, shallow, and what I refer to as vertical breathing because it's up and down like this. How we want to be breathing is what I call horizontal breathing because we are breathing low and slow, and our abdomens, diaphragms, and rib cage are moving in and out like this. When we breathe horizontally, we are not only incorporating our diaphragm so we can push more oxygen into our lungs and harness the full reservoir of air, but we're also using our bottom lungs, which are our most oxygen-rich, biggest part of our lungs. So in order to experience this horizontal breathing, put your hands on either side of your rib cage and gently cup your lower rib cage, because your rib cage movement is a good indication that you are using your diaphragm. So when you breathe in, I want you to direct your rib cage to push out like this. And when you breathe out, direct your rib cage to move in like this. So do you see you're pushing out with your rib cage when you breathe in, and in with your rib cage when you breathe out? Just like that. And if you're a visual person, while you're doing this, I want you to imagine a red balloon here, right here, and it's right between your rib cage. And this red balloon is filling in with air. It's filling up with air every time you breathe in like this. And when you breathe out, that balloon between your ribs deflates. Okay, now you have experienced horizontal breathing, or the low part of breathing low and slow. Now let's talk about the slow part of breathing low and slow. When we think about our body's relaxation response, it happens with the exhalation, not the inhalation. We've already discussed that. If you breathe rapidly, this will trigger a fight or flight response, because this is how your body naturally breathes when it's in a stressful situation. In fact, a recent study pointed out that 75% of people that suffer from panic attacks have disordered breathing. So obviously you don't want to go into a board meeting breathing rapidly on the exhale. Normal breathing in everyday life is about 12 to 14 breaths per minute. But when we're sleeping, it's 4 to 6 breaths per minute. So if we want to purposely switch into our parasympathetic nervous system, we not only have to breathe low with our horizontal breathing, but we have to breathe slow. I mentioned that the exhale is more important than the inhale to trigger that parasympathetic nervous response. So we have to exhale almost twice as long as we have to inhale. So if I'm going into a stressful meeting and I don't want to breathe rapidly, I will purposely slow my breathing down and slow my exhale to almost twice my inhale. And this will ensure that my brain thinks I'm safe and won't trigger that fight or flight response. Let's try it now. So for body awareness, I want you to put your hands back on your rib cage, and I want you to breathe in for a count of 4 through your nose, imagining that your nostrils are puffing out like a dragon. And then I want you to breathe out for a count of 6 through pursed lips like you're blowing out a birthday candle. That's about 1 foot away from you. Now, I mentioned doubling the time of your exhale, but for some people, it's better to take baby steps, because if you run out of breath, you could trigger your panic response unintentionally and shift your body back into that stress response, which is exactly what we're trying to avoid. So if you have strong lungs and a strong diaphragm, feel free to inhale for a count of 4 and exhale for a count of 8. But for the purpose of this video, I'm going to inhale for 4 and exhale for 6. And it looks something like this. Inhale. 2, 3, 4, exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, inhale. 2, 3, 4, exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, you may be feeling calmer already. There was a recent study that looked at people from around the world saying prayers and mantras. And consistently, despite the prayer, mantra, or religion, they were taking about 6 breaths per minute. Now, this isn't to say you should start praying, but it is to say that breathing slowly can put us in a peaceful psychological mindset. And the opposite is true as well, that a peaceful psychological mindset can naturally slow down our breathing. Now, the last step to really harnessing the power of breathing is holding your breath between each inhale and exhale. Because when you hold your breath for a small amount of time, you stimulate your vagus nerve, and in turn, it triggers the release of a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine, which is responsible to slowing your heart rate down, and your brain interprets the body being safe. So now let's add in that third step to our breathing low and slow, which is to hold our breath between the inhale and the exhale. And we'll do it like this. We are going to inhale for a count of 4 through our nose, hold for a count of 4, and then exhale through a count of 6 through our pursed lips. Now you try it with me. Inhale for a count of 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for a count of 4, 2, 3, 4. And exhale for a count of 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if I wasn't counting, it would sound like this. Just like that. And here is my final instruction to you. If you really want this to work, picture inhaling light, energy, and confidence on that inhale, and exhaling all your doubt, insecurity, stagnation, or even darkness on that exhale. That's it. You're going to need to repeat this inhale, hold, exhale cycle a few times. You can't just do it once. If you really get anxious, you'll need to repeat the cycle more times. And you should be practicing this when you're not anxious so that it works for you when you really need it. But this is so powerful. It really is a powerful tool for stress management. Now, everybody knows they are supposed to breathe, but very few people know why. And that's why people don't do it. So the next time you are in a high stakes, high stress situation, think about your anxiety being on a dial. If 0 is asleep and 10 is super stressed, you want to turn that dial down to about a 5 or 6. So you're able to harness that nervous energy to perform at your very best. But the main takeaway that I want to leave you with is that you are no longer at the mercy of your emotions when you are in a stressful situation if you use this breathing technique. And you are not helpless in the face of anxiety. You are in the driver's seat, and you can use this breathing technique to steer you in the right direction. So I hope that the next time you walk into a high-stakes meeting or even are getting ready for a sporting event, you remember this breathing technique and you make it work for you. And if you enjoyed this video, if it was helpful for you and you know a friend that might benefit from some stress management in their life, or even a colleague or family member, please make sure to share this video, like it, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, remember to live brilliantly, lead boldly, and speak with Moxie.